Hello and good evening and welcome to the Car Sim and Race Driver Show. And tonight it is a wonderful and special occasion as we have the Key 25. Kieran, it's great to see you.
You okay? Hello, everyone.
And
I was going to say I was going to put my phone on so I could see the chat, but I can't get it on my phone now.
all right, you can see it on the it might come up on the side of your screen possibly.
Right.
There's comments coming up there that will come through from YouTube, and also we're on Facebook Live as well. But it's great to see everybody tonight, for all our community and of course for Key 25's community that has joined us with us tonight. We've got Key's link in the description below, so if you've not already subscribed to his channel, you've got the link there to go and do that after the show. But Kieran, it's great to have you on. It's been a couple of years, I think about 2.5 years since the last time we had you on. And you were one of my first big guests to come on the show. And since then, you have gone on to your channel has grown. You're famous as sim racing goes with your videos and your racing, and you're always out there competitive. You stream most days, I think it is, isn't it? Or just about every day of the week, which is fantastic. And you've got a massive community that is incredibly loyal. Really, for some of the guys that maybe don't know how you all started, but how did your kind of love of racing games begin?
Oh, a long time ago. Probably Mega Drive. From Mega Drive, Sega Mega Drive. V Racing, I think it was, on the Mega Drive. But I used to watch F1 all the time from like 3 onwards. And that was the first game that actually properly got me into racing games on the Mega Drive, I'd say. Or actually, the Amstrad CP464. I had a racing game on that as well, actually. So.
The Amstrad 64, that's going back a little while.
A long time ago.
I had a BBC B Plus, I think it was, and then eventually it went on to, what was the other one? I can't remember the name of it. It was kind of the other, an Acorn A3000. I had a few racing games on that, but that was back in the early 90s. So did you do kind of, when did you start playing GT Sport?
It was a few months after the release. The game came out, obviously, I think it was November, October time, and I got it in the sale on Christmas and started playing it just after Christmas. So it was a few months after it came out, we started playing it. And I came from iRacing, so I was mainly on iRacing. Before that, I was on Project Cars and Drive Club and what other game was it? F1 games. But then, obviously, from iRacing, I went to GT Sport and didn't really go back to iRacing too many times after that, to be honest, because GT more fun in my view.
Yeah, because that's one of my the big questions. What do you think it is that makes GT Sport so special?
Simplicity, probably. No, it's just no setups to worry about. Jump in, learn the track, race. Like other games, like ACC, brilliant game, but you can't just jump in there with no practice and be competitive with the fastest drivers. You need to work on your setup, and then the conditions might change. Then you might have to change your pressures of your tires, and then it's a great game. But I think you need to put all your time into games like ACC if you want to do it, which is I'm more into Gran Turismo. Pick up, have fun. Anyone can enjoy it on a pad, on a wheel. It's just, for me, it's just a better game, more fun.
Yeah. I know that's the thing. Now, I'll quickly just put out to the chat. Now, very soon, I'll be asking questions from the chat as well, and I'll be highlighting them so that Key can answer them. So if you want to ask a question, all you need to do is write it out in capitals in the chat, and that just helps me to spot it a little bit easier. And then we'll highlight all the questions, and we'll put them to Key, and we'll see how many quick fire ones we can do, and see all your answers. And hopefully, I'm sure we'll get through quite a few. So you said originally you came from iRacing. Now that's been around for quite some time. How did you kind of start on iRacing? What was it that kind of attracted you to that?
I only started iRacing because of the esports team I was in. They obviously wanted us to. I think there was a competition coming up. I don't know how long ago. There was they wanted to try and get us involved with it for any of the big competitions. I obviously started playing it, but then the esports team that I was involved with. Yeah, I won't go into that with them, but
that's all right.
They weren't the best, we'll say that. But yeah, I moved to iRacing. I was on it for 9 months. In the first 9 months, I got to just under 5k I rating, and then stopped playing. I wish I would have carried on playing a little bit, but I totally stopped it and just went fully GT Sport and no other game. I just literally hammered GT Sport because it was so addictive. So I just completely stopped all iRacing. I should have really kept doing 1 race or 2 races a week, but I didn't. So the pace just went.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting. I've literally just started on iRacing. I managed to get over 3 on the kind of rookie rating after about 10 races or so, and it is good fun. But it is quite tough, isn't it? And you see, you've got to be doing it all the time to be able to make it all happen. But going to GT Sport, because I know that's the big one. What is your favourite car and track combinations?
Anything with normally real life tracks, any real life track with majority of cars. I prefer high downforce, as most people will know from if they watch me. I like Group 1, Group 2, except not today. Anything like Super Formula, I tend to do better with the higher speed of the car, the more grip it's got on the front end, and at real life tracks. I much prefer racing at something like Spa, Suzuka, Fuji than I do at, say, a fictional track on Gran Turismo like Dragon Trail Gardens or Lego Maggiore. I don't know what it is about them tracks. I don't enjoy them. I'm really slow at them as well, which is probably why I don't enjoy them. But yeah, real life tracks I tend to find pace on. It's weird. I don't know why I can do it on real life but not on fictional. So who knows?
Yeah, that's funny. Oh, I do remember you racing at Dragon Trail, and then you said you were doing really badly, and you were still about a second and a half quicker than me. And I was thinking, and that made me think, oh goodness me, you know. But it was, but no, I suppose, I mean, what do you think it is that gets you to be so good on all these tracks? I mean, obviously you're saying that the real life tracks you're better at, but I mean, you are very competitive on all of them.
Practice will always come into it. Obviously, getting used to your equipment. Find like I said the other day to the chat, some people might remember being comfortable in your rig as well. It may sound stupid, but if you're on a wheel, like when I wasn't comfy, I was struggling, and you're trying to move things around. As soon as you get comfortable, you will start finding pace. But I don't know, like some of it is obviously because I've been racing on a wheel for since I've been 25. I got my first wheel when I was 25, so I was on a pad before then. I did have a wheel on PlayStation 1, but I think it was a Mad Catz wheel. I can't remember, but I only ever played Ridge Racer with it. So it wasn't really much practice for now, but I think it's just I've always been into racing, go-karting when I was young, like doing the odd little bit. Nothing competitive like Steve and Super GT does, nothing like that, but just in general, always been into racing. So hard to say what makes you fast. I think some of it is natural, some of it will be learning it, obviously through playing games like for so long. I've been gaming since I've been like 3 or 4, whatever it's been. So yeah, it's just a case of keep at it. I think if you've not got the pace yet, just keep at it, and you probably will find more and more pace.
Yeah. Now we've got some great comments that have been coming in here. Davina Atheist says, "Are we twins?" Well, I don't think so. But I'm an awful lot faster. I'm afraid you're all fit and healthy there, Key. I'm well off that kind of fitness. I'm afraid I'm trying to lose weight, but there you go. But Mike Rogers Racing has said, "How do you manage to keep such a fabulous-looking body sitting in that chair all day long?"
I don't sit in the. He knows. Mike knows I don't sit in that chair all day. No, to be honest, like I was not in about 2 months ago. I've been back at the gym now for just under 2 months now, and I was really in quite bad shape because of COVID and no gyms were open, so I didn't want to go back to the gym until obviously double vax. Now double vax, so back in the gym, smashing it, and just trying to keep me. I think it's good for you though, to be honest, exercise because it makes you mentally feel better as well, a lot better, a lot calmer as well.
And I think also it goes back to your go-karting days as well, isn't it? If you're fitter and lighter, you're always going to be better on a go-kart than someone who's heavier. I mean, I know sometimes they give you ballast and everything else, but ultimately, if you're fitter, you're going to be a lot faster. And that's what as real racing drivers have to do as well, isn't it? In the bigger classes, and they kind of be unfit, otherwise they're going to struggle. And I suppose in Sims, it's the same kind of thing. You can maybe get away with being slightly overweight, but if you really want to be good, I think you've got to be pretty mentally strong.
Yeah, I think for your mental, I think exercise is really good for your mental thing in sim racing anyway. Because like, if you're releasing a lot of that anger out somewhere else, like in a gym, whatever, getting it out of your system, you're not going to react so bad in a race if something goes wrong. So it's good for you in general, I think, now. I mean, I feel like since I've been back at the gym, my mentality's calmed a lot before. Obviously, when there was no gyms open, the whole like situation of being, locked into your house for 2 years, and in nearly 2 years, pretty much, it was quite stressful, I think, especially when you're streaming every single day.
Yeah. But, no, that's the thing. Well, we've got a great question by Adama Banana, and he says, what was your favourite round of the FIA?
Which season? This season just gone, or the one before? Which one does he mean?
Let me quickly see.
What was your favourite FIA round? This season, he says. I see it there. This season, I can't even remember. Honestly, probably the I would say the Mazda touring car, even though we didn't get the result we wanted. I think for enjoyment of the racing, the Mazda touring car on Gran Turismo Sport, easily the most fun car on the game in my view. Even though it's not my type of car, but I think the racing in the Mazda touring cars is just the best by a mile.
It is good fun, isn't it? It is great fun. It's even good in iRacing. I like it in iRacing as well. I do enjoy that.
It's good on iRacing. I must admit that is one I do miss driving that on iRacing.
Yeah, no, it's great fun. Now, Glasgow Red has asked, which top split driver do you find the hardest to beat in daily races?
In daily races, that's a hard one because the fastest ones don't tend to do the dailies so much, but I'd probably say the one who does them more, probably Fire. Fire's probably the one who does the most daily races, who's always just going to be flying because he's so good at tyre saving and consistent and stuff like that. So probably Fire, I would say, who does daily races consistently, because like Lightning obviously is the hardest you'll ever come up against, but I think I've only ever raced Lightning in a daily race once, and I've got that on my channel actually. I nearly beat him, to be fair, but it was luck because I had practiced and he hadn't. So
that will be definitely a video to watch that one, because he's a great racer. And that's the thing. Now, Mike has also asked, when is your next ACC stream?
I knew it. Oh my, he knows the answer to that. I don't know actually. Possibly soon. Maybe this. Well, actually, I'm trying to get to 90k DR on GT Sport. I did have a look at the calendar on here the other day on the CP surface, but I forgot what track it was that I said I was thinking about. What date are we on now? It's the
16th today.
16th today. So we've got. Oh, no, so tomorrow Nürburgring, Hungary. Oh, Zandvoort on Sunday is a possible. I mean, it's possible. It all depends on how the 90k DR rating hunting goes. If we don't get it by Sunday, then I'll be doing GT on Sunday, so he'll have to wait longer.
Do you think that the equipment plays a big part? Because, I've got a G29. I've had it for nearly 4 years, and it's a really good setup. Or do you think that for a lot of people starting out, actually, it's not just about the equipment, it's about the kind of skill level?
Honestly, I wouldn't put too much into equipment. Like Lightning was racing on a G29 for the first few years of Gran Turismo Sport. He was driving on a G29. Then he went to a Fanatec, and he was just as fast on his G29 as his Fanatec, and now he's on a TGT, and he's just as fast on that. So I wouldn't put too much into equipment. I don't think it can make you more consistent. Especially for Gran Turismo Sport, I wouldn't put too much into equipment. For example, load cells are not optimized on GT Sport. You'll see a lot of people who have got load cells in GT Sport who will struggle to find that point on where they can actually gain time. In general, I'd say spring pedals are better for GT Sport, but hopefully that'll be something that changes. But for the games like iRacing, load cells are quite important. You will find pace on iRacing. 100% you will. If you get load cells on that game, you'll go 2-3 temps quicker, guaranteed, because once you've got used to them, purely because of for cars with no ABS, like the GTE cars, load cells are massively important. You'll hit that threshold of where it's locking up and you'll know it's so much easier. So for them games, but GT Sport, I mean, you've got people on the pad that are competing in top split at the highest level, so I wouldn't put too much emphasis on it on GT Sport, but definitely for iRacing, probably more so there.
Yeah. Because that's the thing. I mean, nowadays the sim rigs are so incredible. The range that you can get and the different types of steering wheels, pedals, the whole thing, and whether you go PC or whether you go PlayStation. There's just so many options, and you can spend thousands of pounds, but not necessarily maybe get the best value out of it, isn't it? It's unless you're going to be at it all the time. But now here is a good question from Mr. Casual. How important has the community been for your YouTube career?
If the little one was here now, I would get her to shout something to Mr. Casual because he knows what she would shout. No, honestly, to be honest, I wouldn't be doing this without I just wouldn't be able to do this full stop, because I'd have to go and get a job and work, and then I wouldn't have the time because of family and stuff. So without the support we get on the channel, it wouldn't be possible. Like, it's insane. Like, for example, like, if people didn't know, like the rig we're on now, the SimLab P1X, someone from our channel bought this for me. He literally just emailed me saying, "I'm sick of the noise your chair's making because it was broken. I've ordered you this. It's coming in 2 days. Give me the tracking number." Like, and he'd already give us an F1 Esports wheel that's up there somewhere. But yeah, like Mr. Casual's an absolute legend. We got so many legends in our stream that support us in what we do. It's incredible, to be honest. I don't think there's many other channels out there for the size we are that can say they've got as loyal and as good a community as we have in our channel, to be honest. It's insane.
And I think what I quite enjoy about watching your streams as well is that you don't just, you'll be racing away, and you'll still be talking about something completely different sometimes, maybe about F1 or other things that have come up, and you're able to do that, kind of multitask, which I think that's a pretty good skill to be able to have, as well as race hard. And how do you manage that one?
To be honest, if it was anything competitive like FIA, I tend to zone out and really, because I can't hit my, like, for me to get to my ultimate pace, I can't do the multitasking. Like, I can do it in a daily race when it's not really, it's not that important. But I'll be a few temps slower. But then if I really want to zone in, I have to go, like what we say, FIA mode in our stream. I have to fully zone in to find that ultimate pace, because when I'm reading the chat, it does take a bit of your concentration to read it and then talk and then answer, and it will sometimes affect your braking a little bit here, a little bit of throttle there. So you can do it, but I think it does definitely slow you down a little bit.
Yeah, it's like being a policeman, isn't it, or an advanced driver. You have to be able to drive and then tell everyone what's happening at the same time, isn't it? That you've got a great. You must have a lot of extra mental capacity to be able to do all of that.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say it's easier than you think once you've got used to it. I'd say once you're used to doing it, it kind of becomes second nature, because you're kind of learning to look on the straights at the chat, find something to answer, and then get the corner done. Then next straight you can answer it. So you kind of like, you're not going to be reading the chat through a corner, although I have done it a few times before, accidentally, like going into a corner, just started laughing at a comment, and then you realize you're into the corner and you're too late to brake and you're going straight on. So little mistakes like that are really easy to happen when you're streaming, because you're trying to multitask and you sometimes miss little corners like that. But yeah, in general, you do find the right time to look at the chat and the right time to concentrate on the track.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, now here is a technical question for you from David Agrusa. Any advice on how to brake later and better?
I get that. People ask that all the time. A lot of it is down to trail braking and the gear shifting when you're downshifting into a corner. So timing your downshifting, like on GT, a lot of racing games. Project Cars was the worst game ever for this. The first ever Project Cars was it was kind of glitchy, because you could just slam the gears down really fast, and with the braking, it would just be like instant. It would just stop you so fast with the engine braking when you were doing it. But GT does have a factor of that in on some cars. But in general, it's trail braking and shifting at the correct point to get the rotation into the corner while keeping the weight on the front tires. That's why we trail brake. That's why everyone trail brakes, is because the whole point of trail braking is you're keeping the weight on the front of the car, so that when it's turning, you're keeping that balance towards the front tires to keep the grip on your front tires. So then when you're getting into the apex, you can get on the throttle earlier. That's why we all trail brake, because it carries more speed into the corner then.
Yeah, that's a good answer there for David. Now we've got this one. It's been recommended by one of my admins here to Richie. Said, make sure you read out this question from Ray Rivera. Who is your favorite channel member? It's okay. You can tell them.
You can't. We can't say that. There is no favourites on our channel, if I'm honest. We don't have any favourites.
No favourites for you, Ray. I'm afraid that's coming up as a nil point for that one. But yeah, now, I was going to say we have a special prize tonight because we know that a lot of the community has come together, and I thought if we could possibly hit 500 subs, we're not too far away from it. We've got a very, very special photo tile. Now I'll show you the one here. It says I've got two here. So one lucky subscriber could be going home with this. It's a very special one-off photo tile of Senna and Hamilton. Senna and Hamilton, and also sitting on the car. So if one of you lucky subscribers would like that, then we need to try and hit 500 subs if it's at all possible. And of course, we've got the Keys First interview on our backtrack there on our catalogue on the channel. But back to the interview and to GT Sport. What do you think will be coming in, or what's your opinions of what's coming in GT7?
I mean, after today, I was really hyped for GT7 until today, to be honest. But what do I expect to be coming into it? Honestly, so far we know there's a few extra tracks, two or three extra tracks, a few extra cars. We need more information, don't we? Because after today, with the announcement that not every track is going to have dynamic weather, that was a huge I was really shocked at that, to be honest, because the game's been in development since 2017. CAD stated 4 years, and this not got dynamic weather on every track was a bit strange. And also the public lobbies, still 16 player, still 20 player on FIA. It's kind of ruined that thought of doing endurance racing now on that game, because we were all looking forward to it. Like all the people in my community will know, we've all been looking forward to the possibility of doing 30 player lobbies, 3-4 hour races, because you can do it with that many players. But with 16 players, I think a long race would turn into a bit of a boring race, because field spread, it'd just be quite boring to do. So I don't know we've got to get more information before our expectations of what is going to be in it, I think now, because I'm kind of lowering the expectations a little bit for GT7, but I still think it'll be a great game. I will probably only do the FIA and stuff anyway. I'm not really interested in the single player personally, because I'll do it for if you've got to do it for certain stuff in there. But yeah, I'm more into the online than I am racing against the AI, for example.
Yeah. No, that certainly is the same. And I mean, I remember watching your video when they announced that potentially the PS4 is going to get GT7, and you were quite disappointed about that. And to be fair, I agreed with you, because I thought, we all thought GT7 was going to be only for the PS5 because it was the next generation. And you kind of put yourself out on a limb there, actually, because a lot of people were thinking, no, PS4 means it's more accessible, but you kind of stuck to your guns and said, no, I think it should have been on PS5. Do you still think that's the right thing?
I mean, for me personally, for YouTube, it's great that it's on PS4, because more people playing the game is better in terms of like that. But for me, as an enjoyment of playing the game, had to be PS5 only, because we're seeing already now the game has been compromised, because it's obviously, I think it's been developed from the start on PS4 by the sounds of it, because it's basically GT Sport with a few upgrades from what we're seeing. But yeah, I would have much preferred it to have been a PS5 game originally, right from the start, for me and my enjoyment of playing it. It might have meant a few less people watching the content and stuff like that, but I think for the game and for the game's future, I think it would have been better on PS5, because the game's not out till next year. By March next year, I'm sure there'll be a lot more people that have bought a PS5, because I know it's a struggle, but it's another 6 months away, isn't it? And the stock is there. It's coming in the UK now. The people are starting to pick them up every now and then. I know like a few places had them in this week, but yeah, personally for me, I would have rather PS5 only and really, really push the PS5, because it could have been a system seller for like years to come, for like 2-3 years. Even, like down the future. But
it's an interesting one. I mean, I'm thoroughly looking forward to playing it and getting a PS5 as well. That's hopefully on the Christmas list to get all that sorted out. Hopefully they'll have some stock in by that point. But yeah, I'm hoping the game will be good. It's nice to see some of the old tracks in as well. Like Trial Mountain was always quite fun. But I do like the new tracks, and hopefully we'll get some of the real tracks, because they used to have more. I'm sure some of the older Gran Turismo games they had, like Monaco. But it was called something different. But it'd be quite nice to see Monaco, Silverstone, and a few other kind of bigger, more famous tracks as well. I think that would be good. But here's a good question from WRL Podium. It is: what do you find more difficult, braking or accelerating?
Braking, but then I don't really. I mean, honestly, I don't find it difficult to brake, but it depends really what car you're in as well. Because if you've got a car with good downforce, accelerating doesn't normally cause an issue. But then some of the Group 1, like Group 1 hybrids, they can be, you've got to be very progressive with your acceleration with them cars, or your torque steer off the track. On GT you will anyway, because for some reason there's a massive amount of torque on the front tires on GT Sport with hybrids. But it's a hard one. I mean, all depends on the car you're in. Like road cars, braking, because you have to get your braking points spot on road cars because the brakes are terrible. But then high downforce, you can brake quite late and just slam the brake down, it will stop. So yeah, it all depends on the car really.
Yeah, I think going back to a quick thing you mentioned earlier about in some games you could just bang the brakes down, or so bang the gears down, and that would slow the car down. And of course, in real life, you can't really do that because the wheels would lock up or your engine would explode, and that would be it all over. And that's one of the few things in the games that annoys me a little bit, because I kind of think they shouldn't really be allowed to get away with that, because you think if you want to make it even remotely realistic, you need to have that kind of thing, so you can't kind of break in those ways. But that's just my opinion. But here's a good question from Darren Turner. Have you ever considered doing coaching?
I've been asked that so many times. I actually got asked that on Twitter by a few people. Honestly, I wouldn't want to charge for that, and I would rather, especially for GT7, I'd rather try and get content out that does the same job without trying to charge someone, if you know what I mean. Because I don't know how good I'd be at coaching. It's quite difficult on a console because you're not seeing the person do it. You're not there next to them. You can only see what the inputs they're doing. So it's very difficult to, I think, to do coaching on a racing game. Although there are people that do it, but whether they're money motivated to do that, I don't know. Like I would rather try and get videos out to try and help people out, and because I think you can coach most things through a video. I don't think you really, like, if you've got a track guide that's telling, like for example, when we do the track guides, telling you where to brake. I know that trail braking is a big factor, but I honestly don't know if I'd be able to do a good enough job to charge someone, and I wouldn't want to charge someone and then go, right, that's £20 there for that, and you know what I mean, and then you feel like you've not done a good enough job. So not really keen on it, because then I'd have to stop doing as much streaming, because if I was doing like 3 lessons a day, I've got family as well, that'd probably mean reduce stream or no stream. So for me personally, I enjoy the streaming. I enjoy the communication side of streaming and like the community side. So probably not, if I'm honest.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. I think you're being very modest, because I'm sure anyone who got advice and tips and any kind of coaching would be very impressed with how you taught them. Because when you're to be that quick and be as good as you are on all these different games, you've got that skill to do it, and it's just communicating that skill. But it's understandable as to how as to why you would prefer to do the streaming as you do. That and what's your view on on where you think your channel will grow in the future, or do you have kind of plans to change it a bit or keep it the same?
To be honest, at the moment it's a lot of streams, because although we are doing the odd video and stuff but it's going to be Gran Turismo based for GT7, obviously, because I know I'm going to have fun on that game. It might be very similar to GT Sport, but I'm still having more fun on GT Sport now than what I would on iRacing or ACC. So when GT7 comes out, priority will 100% be Gran Turismo 7. Hopefully Gran Turismo 7 is going to help the channel grow, because for everyone who's on GT Sport at the moment, like, the growth has kind of like leveled off now. You're getting subscribers, but at the early stages we were picking up like 1,000 to 1,500 a month sometimes. Now it's like a couple of hundred a month. So once GT7 comes out, I think it's going to be a massive boost to everyone who does GT Sport content. And we'll be just keep going on GT7, and then hopefully GT8 will be out within the next 5 years. Who knows? You
And
never
keep it
know.
going. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you like to do some kind of track day and those kind of things too? Do you ever get the chance or the idea you'd quite like to do that?
Honestly, right. I've said this before on my channel. I'm not really interested in anything real life based.
Mhm.
I mean, I would go to a track day, but I don't think I'd do it for the channel purposes because my channel started as sim racing and gaming,
Mhm.
and that's what people subscribe to me for. So I think
Yeah.
that's what I want to continue doing on my channel. I want to carry on with that. I don't have any sort of like real life racing ambitions because I'm nearly 40 and like yeah, I just want to enjoy my gaming now. I'll be a pensioner gaming, so and streaming
Mhm.
to all the people in our chat. I'm quite happy doing the gaming side of it than worrying about any real life racing because also family and stuff. I don't really have time. I
Yeah.
wouldn't have time for stuff like that. So yeah, my
Yeah.
ambition is just gaming, streaming, and having fun on racing games.
That's fantastic. No, I think that's really good because for some of us, we've all been kind of hidden or hopeful racing drivers in our young years, and I've seen that chance disappear. So kind of sim racing is the next best thing, and we can have
Exactly.
a lot of fun playing it, and actually get really, you can because I've done a couple of track days after I've done sim racing, and I've really found that it has helped me quite a bit. So I could do a lot better on the track in real life because I had the basic skills of sim racing here. And it was all, in fact, in some cases, I went to Mercedes land down at Brooklands last year and I was driving a Mercedes C43 AMG. And actually, the car was easier to drive than on some of the games that I've driven that car.
Will be.
It's actually, which was kind of the thing, it steered a bit better, the brakes were a bit more progressive, and it just seemed generally a bit easier. But going on to some of the other games, I know we talked previously about iRacing, but obviously, if you like F1 and you follow Formula One, what do you think of the current Formula One games? Are you impressed with them?
For me, no, because I like the online side of gaming. Like
Yeah.
I don't get enjoyment from racing against an AI driver. I want to race against someone competitively on someone else, like they're also on their rig or on a control, but whatever. I
Mhm.
don't get the enjoyment of racing against like in single player games. So the
Yeah.
F1 games are great as a single player game, but
Yeah.
online we tried it out on stream and it was just like there was more time waiting around in the lobby than there was
Yeah.
actually racing, which is bad
Yeah.
for me. Like I want to be racing. I don't want to be sat in a lobby. And in
Aye.
general, there's no matchmaking. There's no skill based matchmaking on it. So yeah, for me, they've got a long way to go on their F1 games. They're nowhere near Gran Turismo or iRacing or ACC in terms of the online side. And for
Yeah.
me, that
Yeah.
means I stopped playing it fairly early when it came out, the new one. So
Yeah.
yeah,
It never seems to take off. It never seems to take off every year, and yet it's quite an expensive game. A lot of people, they'll buy it and they'll play it for a couple of weeks and then think, oh well, that's that done. Because you see, the multiplayer is quite disappointing, and there's nothing worse than being stuck waiting for a lobby to form and you can't actually make it exciting. But we've got a great question from Mike Rogers Racing. What do you think about Momos starting a YouTube channel?
yeah, I subscribed, so I subscribed straight away. Um, I mean, I don't see any harm in it. Momos is a legend, so if it makes him drive more sensible, it's better for everyone, isn't it? Let's be honest, because people are watching him, so I think he knows that people are watching, so he's driving a lot more sensible now. So yeah, it's good for everyone.
Yeah,
No
I was
problem
gonna
with it
say
at all.
I was on a stream, another stream there, and Momos was talking to the chap involved, and I asked him for an interview, but he refused. He says his English isn't good enough yet. But hopefully we'll get an interview with him at some point. That and PG Motorsport, I'm sure that would be a
Oh,
controversial one. He, that's a
we're
crazy
not
one.
allowed to swear on here, are
No,
we?
don't worry. I've got it. It's all for kids, so it's okay. But yeah, it's quite incredible what he does. But I suppose that's yep. They're all trying doing a bit. But as I say, maybe they have to be a little bit more accountable if they're going to do live streams and you get to see them and you can hear what they're saying. But so we never know. Now here we go. From Davina Atheus, any thoughts to introduce your own kids to sim racing or esports?
No. If they want to do it, they can do it. If they don't, which I don't think that I've got two girls. They're not really their
I'm not
interest
into
in racing is very limited. They'd rather be playing Roblox. So yeah, I would never push our children into anything like that. They do what they want. If they wanted to do it, they could do it. If they don't, they don't. So it's just like if they want to do something in real life, they can try it, and if they don't want to do it, they don't have to do it. I would never push them into it, and I don't think, honestly, I don't think they're very into that's like sim racing in general. They've got no interest in it, so probably unlikely they'll ever do it, to be honest.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough, isn't it? They can have a go and see what they think. That now we've got a great question here from Sean. We haven't seen Sean for a while. It's good to see Sean. He says, "When is Key actually going to beat me in a lobby race?"
Oh, yeah, okay. I don't think I've ever been beat by Sean. To be fair, I don't even know who Sean is when he's in a game. Is he? I don't even know what his username is, to be honest. He's probably not even ranked high enough to be in the lobby, so. He knows I'm joking.
Oh, of course, that's all right. That's now DASLC 40 has asked, "Do you think that you have maxed out on your skill level?"
On GT, probably in terms of what I'm doing now, in terms of like not really taking it too serious. If I went quite hardcore like I did on Project Cars, then no, but I don't want to do that. It's not enjoyable. Like spending hours and hours just going over the same track day in, lap after lap after lap, and that I can't do that anymore. Maybe when I was younger and like I could sit there and time trial, but now I just get like 5-10 laps of doing time trial, and that's me. I get bored. So
yeah.
I think for now, especially with YouTube, quite happy just to keep, as long as I'm in the top couple of splits and I can compete in them, then I'm happy with that. I don't really need to worry about pushing it too much.
Yeah. No, that's good. I mean, I think because you do it so much, you're always going to be up at that top level because you know you've learned those skills and you're good. And what do you think about? Oh, you know, there's so many new people coming in every year, especially in GT Sport, and they're younger and younger. You know, and you know, some are 12 or 13, and they must come home from school and just be allowed to play for 6 hours at a time. You know, goodness knows what the parents are doing, but you kind of think, do you think that that group remains is going to be an even bigger threat to or make it more competitive? Or what's your view on the new guys coming through?
To be honest, at the moment, Gran Turismo 7, GT Sport is probably the most competitive it's ever been. I don't think we've, even though like you're missing a lot of players now from when it first started, and there's a few that probably just moved on and went on. Now it's the hardest it's ever been. You know, when you see these top split lobbies, there's like one of 12 or 15 drivers that could win the race because they're all that good. So it's pretty crazy, to be honest. It's quite scary for when GT7 comes out because they're all going to move on to that, and it's now going to be on PS4 and PS5. So I imagine it's going to be crazy levels of competition on GT7. It's going to be very hard to be even in the top 2 splits, I reckon, for myself, because like the level at the moment, even in split 2, the level is really high. So yeah, I think it's going to be nuts. It's going to be crazy.
Yeah. Now we have a great question from Water Racing. It is, sometimes you get really upset. How long does it take you to let go after a stream?
Upset. To be honest, I haven't got that. I've never got upset in terms of like gonna go and tantrum of like once the stream ends, I'm done and dusted. I'll sit down and watch telly with the missus. I'm not gonna take I'm not gonna take anything after a race or a stream. But even then, to be honest, recently it doesn't really bother me. It's annoying when you have a bad race. Like I think it's Tsukuba when we got took out on the last race day. That was frustrating. But at the end of the day, it's not. I'm not gonna carry on that. Literally, as soon as it's done and dusted, that's it. I'm watching telly with the missus, and it's not worrying about it after that. So it's just it's more frustration when it happens than anything. But yeah, we don't carry it on or anything like that. I'm not going to sit there and be in a mood for like 5 hours after or something like that. It's only a game, isn't it? You see when you're streaming, people see your instant reaction.
Yeah.
Like, you know, most people when they're racing, they're not streaming, and they probably all get annoyed, but they're not getting viewed by a couple of hundred people or whatever. So yeah, it's just the way it is, isn't it? If some stuff annoys me, some stuff, and I'll forget about it within like 10 minutes of like finish the stream, I'll be forgot about it. So yeah, not long.
What would you say is the most annoying kind of driver habit that you kind of look out for? Or, because obviously you've done so much on GT Sport, you can recognize when people are dodgy up ahead, if you're doing a last to first challenge or something like that. What's the things you kind of look out for that are the kind of warning signs?
It's hard, to be honest, because the one thing I was gonna say racecraft, really. Like some people's racecraft, and you know when they're gonna do it. Like some people argue with me about this. Like some people argue with us on the stream. So for example, if you've pitted and the car in front hasn't pitted yet, and they've got a pit, it's a pit stop race, whatever, and they fight that position. For me, I think it's pointless because at the end of the day, they're just going to lose time in their race as well. It's going to affect them overall, and I think that's the one thing that frustrates me the most when it comes to other drivers. And you can see it; they battle you, and they'll battle you for 2 laps, then pit, and they've just lost themselves 3 seconds through battling rather than just using racecraft stuff like that. That frustrates me a bit, but yeah, some people will say they've got the right to do it, but then it's more about racecraft than it is whether they've got the right to do it.
Yeah, because they're going to probably lose less time, as you say, if they just let you through and then follow you, isn't it? And then you don't have that trouble. I know that some of the guys are saying as well, when you see people battling in front or constantly touching or going for dodgy moves, that's it. Just give them space because they're more likely to have a crash. At some point, they'll take somebody out, and then you should hopefully, as long as it doesn't take too long, you should be able to make up the places and things like that. But yeah, now I'm looking here at the questions. We've got lots by Sean and his remarks after his lobby race there. And so let me have a quick look through the questions here as we are. Oh, here we are. That's the thing. I'm just all right. Mr. Casual said, do you think the FIA top split would be cleaner if there were no World Tour events to qualify for?
Yeah, that's 100%, because like we've all witnessed it in, like, not to me, to other drivers. You see it happen. Like you can see people will do anything for point, not even just points, even in qualifying we see it. So yeah, 100% I would say that if there was no World Tour events, then, like, for example, when this season ends and we go into exhibition season, the racing will in general improve. It always does. Exhibition seasons tend to have better quality of racing than official seasons, because in official season, drivers will push other drivers out the way because they know that might give them 8 extra points, which might qualify them, and it all gets a bit messy, I think, in an official season. So I can't wait until the official season's over and we go back into exhibition, because people practice less. So it's just more like, I don't really practice for FIA now, so it's just more of a jump on, everyone has fun, and then you don't have to wipe someone out to get a few extra points. So I think definitely official seasons do tend to cause worse driving. I would agree with that.
No, that was a very good question. Now, I know that with time is catching on, and I know that you're limited. I know you've been working hard all day, so we'll watch the timing on everything. But a question from Adama Banana: will you be playing Forza Horizon 5 much when that game comes out?
I mean, I might play it, but whether I'd stream much of it, because I don't know where. Honestly, I don't think it's not the type of game that goes with the channel, because I'm more sim racing. That's more open world, drive around, and it's a bit arcadey. I do like. I mean, I've got Forza Horizon 3, so I will buy it on my PC. Or, well, I won't buy it. I'll just subscribe to Game Pass for £1 and then just get it for a few months for basically nothing. So I'm waiting to do that, take advantage of that until that's out, because I'll only play it for a bit. So there's no point me spending 50 quid on the game when I can just pay £1 and get it for like a month or two.
Yeah,
so
that's
I'll
true.
Take advantage of that.
Definitely. Now, here's a good question from Richie. Is a world final on the cards for you?
Honestly, no. I don't think so, because I think with the level of competition now, if you want to try and get into a world final, for someone like me, I'd have to sacrifice either manufacturers or nations. I'd probably sacrifice manufacturers, and I'd have to go 100% attack and practice every day, which would then mean the only thing we could stream would be just doing the same thing every day and just practicing and practicing. And I don't think that would be enjoyable to watch. I don't think that's what I want for my channel. So no, I don't think that. I think I'm quite happy with just having fun with daily races, jumping on FIA races, trying to get a result out of them, do it again, and manufacturers mess around with that. I don't really. The aim's not to qualify for a World Tour. The aim's just to provide content for me personally. I mean, I feel like we might be, if we went 100%, we might have a chance, possibly. But even then, I think the level's too high now. I honestly think the level on the World Tour drivers is just a step up from what I could possibly reach, to be honest, in my opinion.
Yeah. It was interesting because we talked a few weeks ago to Mikhail Hizal, and it was really interesting seeing how his whole approach, and how very much down to earth he is as well, like your good self. There's a wonderful natural ability and just modesty that goes along with it, but obviously an incredible quickness. But he's saying it's all these people that are practicing for so long, and I see this every year there's a new generation coming. That wants to get good on these games. But I think the World Tour is a fantastic thing to watch. I remember seeing the Super GT when he went to Monaco and places like that, and potentially when he went to Australia. And how would you think, if you had a big race against them all, how do you think you would do?
Against what, like Lightning and that, and all the World Tour? I've been in races with them all. We had one ages ago with I don't know if anyone remembers, Interlagos in Group 3. We had like a birthday stream for Lars, so we had Baptist in there, Lightning in there. Lightning had to start from the back, but in a different car to everyone else. Tijani was in there. I think Favaris might have been in there. Storm was in there. We had a lot of the fastest drivers on the game. Now it was 15 players because one was thinking. I think I finished 6th. I got actually quite lucky because I think I made the strategy quite work and I didn't make mistakes. But yeah, now I don't think I could do that. I think I'm a little bit, probably a few tenths off pace a lap to even get close to them, to be honest. I think, yeah, I don't think I could. Likes of Lightning is just on another level on the game. Honestly, I've raced with Lightning. I practiced with him a few times in FIA in the past, and he goes on with no practice, and he literally will sit in the garage, watch you do a few laps just so he gets the break points and knows where he's going. Goes out and then boom, straight away faster. He's just instantly unbelievably fast with no practice at all. I don't think there's many people like Lightning on the game, to be honest. I don't think people realize how little time he spends on the game. He's just naturally gifted it's like the physics are made for him somehow. So yeah. Crazy.
I know it's some chap. It was great fun interviewing him. He's a really interesting and focused chap, but very positive and encouraging. Really good guy. Now here we've got a funny question. Here I'll just it's from Landy KFS saying, do you think Antomics will ever get good at the game?
And to be fair to Antomics, he's actually very, very good at the moment. To be honest, he's probably close to, probably in the EU, one of the best pad players on the game, I think, at the moment, if I'm brutally honest. We wind him up every time. We all call him a pleb and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, he's probably the best pad player in the EU. I don't think there's, like, Calster doesn't play anymore. I'm interested to see how that battle will go. I'm sure a lot of people in the chat will say it as well. When GT7 comes out and Calster comes back, and you've got Antomics now, who's very good on the pad, versus Calster, that's going to be quite an interesting head-off there. They're both about the same age as well, so that could be quite fun. I'm looking forward to seeing who will win in that battle, to be honest, because I don't know. Antomics has really upped his game recently, so I don't know. It'd be interesting.
Yeah. Oh, it's great to see how competitive it is, but also the fact that you're right up there beating them as well, and showing them that, giving them a good run for their money, which is good. Now we've got a good question here from Mike Rogers, who says, how do you manage to get that drink to balance on the radiator at that angle? It's
not at an angle. That's flat. It's just the camera's up there at a weird angle. So if I was to put it flat, he knows. It's just the camera angle. It's just because the camera's at a funny angle. That's all.
And Sean has said it's definitely Antomic's fault over me all the time, and that's been. I'll let you battle that out with it all here. But no, it's absolutely fantastic though to hear all this, because I mean, for so long we've been. I know you do a lot of answering questions in the chat, but it's great to have a session like this for an interview, so you can answer the questions that a lot of your fans and loyal subs have been wanting to ask for quite a while. What would you like to say to your community? If there's anything that you think about, in terms of, I know you said before how good they are, but is there any particular words you would like to give to them tonight?
Oh, I mean, I will always be insanely grateful to him, because if it wasn't for them, like my family, all of us wouldn't be in the situation that we are in now, where you know I can support them where I can. Because before, I obviously was it was either it was either go and start working doing nights or something, because obviously with the kids being on with needing picking up, and it was either that or do something like this, and they've made it possible. So they're all absolute legends. They know who they are. So yeah, massively grateful to everyone who watches our streams. I don't think people realize, but yeah, they made a huge difference, not only to my life, but also the whole family's life. So I'm
Yeah.
incredibly grateful to it all.
Well, you do a fantastic job and very entertaining, and we learn an awful lot from your streams. So you're there's 100% quality in there in what you're doing there, Kieran, in your channel. Now, a quick question, this from Darren Turner. You've become a lot more relaxed on the game in the last 6 months. Why the change?
Probably because we just not taking FIA too serious, like not practicing. Because if you spend, this is another reason why I don't do it. Because if you spend, say, to be competitive and qualify, and you spend in what some top split drivers will be spending probably 10 to 20 hours, maybe more, practicing for FIA races. They'll probably be doing 10 to 20 practice runs on the race before they even get into that first race. Now, if you're spending that type of time and then you get took out in a race, and you get took out in the next race, and then you get punted, and then it all goes wrong, the frustration levels would be, they build and build and build, because you've just wasted all that time and someone's
Yeah,
wrecked you. So yeah, I don't do that anymore. I just jump into the races, more chilled. If I'm in, I'd rather be in split two, to be honest, now, because I find the racing actually cleaner in split two. But yeah, just more chilled approach. The last 2 months as well, going to, like I said earlier, going to the gym, exercising, much better for your mentality when streaming as well, I think, personally.
yeah. Oh, that's the thing. And on a funny note, to as we've just about run out of time, it's from Mike Rogers Racing again. He's saying, "When is the wedding?"
To be honest, I don't know. We haven't got a date, to be honest. It's very hard because, like I say, who knows with all the COVID stuff, that obviously thingy. But we haven't even really saved up anything, because we're obviously saving up for Christmas now, and yeah, it will happen when it happens. I think once we're in a position, hopefully Gran Turismo 7 will help the channel a lot, and then we can start thinking about that in the future. But at the moment, we're not really in a position to even get a date, really, because yeah, we wouldn't spend fortunes anyway, because obviously we've got kids, we can't afford to spend thousands of pounds on a wedding. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think she said it's got to happen before she hits 40, so she doesn't want to be, she's not getting married if she's over 40s. Yeah, got a few years.
Oh well, that's the thing. To take a trip to Orlando or something like that, do it on the beach at Clearwater, and have a few friends over. But no, that's the thing. Well, look, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show tonight. And I mean, really thank you for your time, and appreciate you putting time aside, and as well for all your community that have come over here tonight to watch the show. Just a quick notice to say to everyone who's been watching, if you like sim racing and you would like to get Key's first interview that we did a couple of years ago, it's on our catalogue. And if you really love the show and you love sim racing and interviews, then of course you could always subscribe to the channel. That would be amazing. And Richie, I'll ask Richie, if we've hit 500, I can announce who's won. I can get ready now. If not, I'll put a video out with the winner of our special photo tile that will go anywhere in the world out to one lucky subscriber out there. But Key, it's been phenomenal to have you on the show, and hopefully we can get you on again in the next few years as well, to see how things have improved and how the whole channel has grown. And I wish you all the best for your channel and for your family life. And I'm sure we'll hear, no doubt, the sound of wedding bells in the not too distant future. But stay on the line. But to everyone who's been watching tonight, you've been watching the Car Sim and Race Driver Show with the star that is the Key 25. Drive fast and try not to crash. Bye just now.